Welcome. Here's my introduction about my two courses this semester, spring 2025. I teach behavioral finance and fintech and international finance, um, both on Tuesday and Thursday afternoon, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. I teach both classes back to back. So first 1.5 hours behavioral finance and fintech, and the other half I teach international finance, and the other way around on the other day, okay, Tuesday and Thursday. I strongly encourage you guys to take both of my classes simultaneously, concurrently, this semester. Why? Why is that the case? Your precious 3 hours and 6 hours in a week. Why do you have to see me continuously? Because I have a special program about Bloomberg training session, which is going to be on the Thursday of the second week. Okay, let me share this. And this is what happened last semester. So Bloomberg, okay, as a finance guy, it would be a big plus if you could if you would be able to operate the Bloomberg machine, okay? Um, Put it on your resume, just one line is it's really attractive. And how to download those data and then real-time data and then look at the stock price chart and then analyze the situation. And your bosses and colleagues will ask you about those things. And you can be ahead, okay? You can get a head start with that so that Bloomberg terminal, how can you, if you can operate those things, it will be a lot of, advantage for you. So, so, um, I take you guys to the Bloomberg office in Seoul, which is in Ulchiro, off campus, okay? And it takes about 30 minutes to go there. 30 minutes. You have to think about the logistics, right? And then the training session is 1 hour, okay? And then you have to come back if you have classes. So at least you need to have 2 hours to be able to go there and then come back here and thinking about this kind of logistics. But remember, our class time is just 1.5 hours for each class. So how can I secure more than 2 hours for you? Well, by teaching these two classes back to back. Okay, so I secure 3 hour slot for you guys. Okay, if you take my courses back to back, right, throughout the semester. On Thursday, 3 hours you are fully allocated to me, and you are able to move around together with me. So last semester, while the students were, as part of my students were taking Bloomberg session, okay, 1 hour. The one team was doing that. The other two teams were also there because Bloomberg session is like a 3 hour session, 4 hour session, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and 5 o'clock sessions are there for you. So one session you are dedicated to that Bloomberg machine, and the other two sessions you are free. So during the time you are free, what do you do? Well, last semester, fortunately, one of our alumni, like GBA alumni, Jung Jun-hyuk, he's working for a hedge fund called PAG, Hong Kong's Big Five, Big Three hedge fund. And then he graciously shared his experience about his job, how to get an internship, how to work as a permanent position there, and what it is like to work in Asian financial market, including Hong Kong, and then Seoul, right? So, so he graciously spared this hour for you guys, for my students, and then he bought a coffee for my students graciously. I don't know if this could happen again this time, but if we are lucky, we may at least, be able to meet him and then say hi to him sometime, right? That's one thing we could do. And in that building, he's not the only one, but we have several other alumni working there, okay? And then during the evening time, we had a chance to meet another alumni working for the IPO team of Mira Asset Securities, right? 안태웅, okay, he's a business graduate, right? 경영학과 졸업생, 안태웅. He is working at the biggest investment bank of Korea, Mirae Asset. And then there, I bought, the dinner for my students like this, and then he joined it, and then met our students and network, shared his experience as an investment banker there, and I had a wonderful time like this. Okay, so this is how it works. This is how it works. Okay, so to enjoy this kind of networking benefit, okay, I strongly encourage you to take the class, international finance as well as behavioral finance together, back to back, okay? Tuesday and Thursday. Another session that we had, okay, was with tax accountant, business graduate, SKKU business graduate, um, and then in working for B&H consulting company. That was tax consulting company. All these guys are working in the same building as the Mirae Asset Center 1 building where the Bloomberg is located. So that's a great opportunity for all of us to leverage and then meet our SKKU wonderful alumni and get connected, okay? So it's all about, who knows who in finance. This is a great opportunity for you. So I strongly encourage you guys to take both of my classes simultaneously. And then, in here at the end of the semester, what do you do with the Bloomberg capability? Here are my students working out and then presenting their term projects, right? During the behavioral finance class, right? In the behavioral finance class, you're going to analyze K-pop companies, right? I understand that many of our international students, you guys came to Korea because you love K-pop, K-drama, or K-whatever, okay? And then definitely K-pop and stock is also there, stock market. So why don't we study and then, their stock price? You can recommend something about that. Study their stock prices and returns and their, performances and things like that. And then the stock price is all about your psychology as well as fundamentals. So fundamentals is more about neoclassical economics, and then psychology is precisely about behavioral finance. And I'm bringing that fun part of K-pop into this behavioral finance. A lot of, popularity of the songs may drive up the stock price of these, K-pop companies. Is it a bubble or not? Is it backed up by these fundamentals or something, moving with this psychology purely? Okay, you will have to be discerning. Okay, these two. Okay, that's the fun part of this behavioral finance and fintech class. And as you see, my students who are presenting in like this, I force my students to form international groups. Every team has to be half Korean and half non-Korean, okay? So that during your team project, everybody has to talk in English, okay? So I understand many of the Korean students, they cling to Korean students and they form team projects with Korean students only, whereas the international students, they form groups among themselves only. They don't talk too much, okay? This intergroup, they don't talk too much in usual classrooms, but I don't like that, okay? Why do they do it? Why don't they just mix around, but they just separate each other? Because number one, international students, usually their objective of visiting over here in Korea is to take travel around in Korea and then Asia, all around every weekend, so that they don't study that much. They're not serious about the study, so that the Korean students feel like, oh, they don't study, they don't contribute too much for our team project, then we are not going to work with them because, that's a free rider problem. They are afraid of that. So the Korean students, they hang around only with the Korean students, so that they form groups like that. The negative side of it is that the Korean students never speak English, even though there are a lot of international exchange students from different parts of the world. Think about this. This is a great opportunity for all of you guys to make close friends while you are young, okay, young blood, you are open-minded, and then this is the best chance and last chance for you to make international friends that can last long throughout your lives, okay? So I don't want to miss that chance. I don't want you to miss that chance, okay? So that's why I strongly, I mean, virtually force you to form groups together. I just randomly assign you guys, okay? Half of the team members have to be Korean. The other half have to be internationals, right? So that every team projects or team exercises, you will have to speak in English and you will have to open up your mouth, okay? The Korean students have their strong bias, right, about it. Over the past 10 years, what I realized was that our international exchange students, right, there are some of them, significant number of these international exchange students are really dedicated to study and then they perform very well. If I look at their classroom or the final exam and midterm exam score distribution, the top percentile guys, they are the same. Okay, only the tail part. Well, international students, if they want to travel so much, they don't study that much, they don't do as good compared to Korean students. But the top quartiles, I will say, they are the same high scores, top scorers as sometimes international students, okay? Usually Korean students have a bias in their previous other classes and say, well, when it comes to test taking and then test scores, Korean students are way higher, but that's not right, okay? Wake up. This is a serious wake-up call. And then that's the reality, okay? And the Korean students, they need to break up and then they need to speak up, okay, so that they will be able to contribute, okay. And then Korean students may have a wrong belief that when it comes to the numbers, they can outperform. But I say, well, if it is that easy to deliver correct numbers, say it in English and tell me, and then teach your friends about the finance concepts, capital asset pricing model, and things like that in English. Can you do it? Okay. Foreign exchange, right? The interest rates and GDP, the economic concepts. Say it in English and finish it, your discussion. Okay. Can you do that? Right? This is interesting challenge and worth taking because, Korean students will always say, oh, if I were speaking Korean, I could finish this. But because this is English, I'm like, and then just try to stop in the middle and making it as an excuse. Because this is in English, I'm not going to finish up. But I force you to speak, okay? Until finish, right? Until you finish. And then the more you speak, the more points I give. The participation grade. I recognize those participation grade by giving these post-its each time you speak something, okay? Each time you speak something. So the more post-its you accumulate, the better grades you will get. So you have to be more aggressive in speaking up. Why do I encourage you to do this? Because finance is all about, disagreement. When there's buy, there has to be some sell. Nobody agrees, right? Why do you disagree? You have to argue your way out. That's the beauty of finance. Do you have that logic? Do you have that number? Having the correct number itself, well, that's good, but that's not good enough. Can you convince your thoughts to the other side? Okay. Oh, I can do that maybe 10 years later. No, do it now. Do it now. Why? Because I want you to prosper and be successful in your job search right now, next semester, next summer break, coming summer break, right? And that's something you can do right now. Okay. Don't believe that you can make it in 10 years down the road. Don't underestimate yourself, right? You can do it. So I push you in this way. And then Behavioral finance is about market psychology and see the investor psychology. Okay. Belief. Sometimes we have wrong belief. How does that wrong belief form? Okay. And then another important part. Well, belief about the probability. Okay. Belief about the cash flow expectation. When do we make mistakes? Where is the pattern of this mistake? And why do we make that kind of mistakes? And then how does that contribute, add to the financial market bubble? And then what happens? Okay. What's the role of these short sellers, right? And then individual investors and institutional investors, how are they different? Okay. Also, overconfidence, where as you accumulate successful experience, how do you become overconfident and things like that? Okay. And then another is a disposition effect, right? When your stock is gaining and then in the profit section, you tend to sell off the stock too early, whereas the stock may, jump up higher right after you sell off. Okay. You will regret. Why did I sell it? And then another part of disposition effect is that once you buy the stock and the stock plunges like 50% negative, well, you have to sell off, okay? The sell off to manage your risk, but you cannot sell it off. Your psychology just holds you back. Why? What's the mechanism in your mind that you miserably make mistake, okay? And that kind of investor mistakes, that's what we are going to learn throughout the semester, behavioral finance and fintech. Why fintech? Many people get scared about this word tech, as if this class will be full of engineering concepts, and then they run away. Don't worry, okay, rest assured. It's about psychology, okay? Why do I say fintech by then? Because these recent tech development, they developed this NLP, natural language processing, and all this kind of big data technique to capture your psychology. So to be able to understand this fintech, you need to understand investor psychology. So this class is really about investor psychology. Don't misunderstand, okay? And of course, we will learn something about blockchain and Bitcoin and kind of things because, Bitcoin or this altcoins, they are full of bubbles, right? What's the fundamental value? Zero, okay? So how does that affect our performance and then minds, and then how can we, thrive in this kind of environment? That's something we're going to study in this class, all right? So that's the behavioral finance and fintech part. What about international finance part? Well, that's about, foreign exchange, right? Largely, it's going to be about macroeconomics and then how the US dollar price versus in Korean won terms, and then US dollar price in terms of Japanese yen or euro, right? It's all about relative comparison of these two different countries' macroeconomy, okay? And there we'll have to study a lot about the macro drivers like GDP growth and inflation and interest rates, and then these, macro level ideas, right? Unemployment rate, what's the role of the central bank, and this kind of things. And then how do we manage the foreign exchange risk? And how to be able to study that, we need to understand the drivers of these exchange rates, right? Foreign exchange rates. One of them is about the balance of payment, which is really about the cash flows of this country level, okay? Import and export and government spending and government debt, taxation, and all these kind of things. That's balance of payment account argument. And the other part is about interest rates, okay? Money flows to the country that gives you the highest real interest rates, okay? I said real interest rates, not nominal interest rates. That immediately hits your ring the bell of inflation. Oh, that it comes into play. And now this is a right time to study about the inflation, right? And then the real GDP growth versus nominal GDP growth. and nominal interest rates and real interest rates. And the central bankers, they set up this Fed fund rate or this policy rate in Korea, okay, Bank of Korea. These interest rate differentials, how does it affect our FX rate, okay, US dollar price, right? And currency-wise, when from the US person's perspective, Korean won versus other currencies, which currencies do you think are highly correlated with Korean won, okay? And which currencies are not, okay? You're going to study all these things, right? And that's a lot of fun part and a lot of misunderstanding you will identify, and then you will be surprised about yourselves. And there, I traditionally worked with this International Financial Management, a textbook by Eun and Resnick. Okay, Eun 철수 교수님 is a big guru, big guy in Georgia Tech. Okay, very famous guy. And then a famous textbook is over here. So you can buy this one, or you can, basically Google search, answers to these questions. I know, and ChatGPT, kind of things. I know. But so that's a textbook. Whether you buy it or not, I don't care. But since last semester, I chose this one as a strong reference book, very good reference book for your self-study and for your team project. What does chip war tell us about? Okay. So here in international finance class, your term project will be about valuing the stock of semiconductor companies. So let me stop the sharing of the screen here and let me talk more about this chip war thing. What is this about? Well, you are here in Korea, South Korea, not North Korea, by the way. And as long as you are here in South Korea, wouldn't it be good if you learn about the breadwinner industry of South Korea? What's the breadwinning industry of Korea? It's not K-pop. It is the semiconductor industry, semiconductor. That's the memory chip that enables you to run your computers and your iPad and your iPhones and all this kind of tech stuff. And then the AI, the whole world is now competing. US versus China. There's a huge trade war and then political tension going on. Who takes up the hegemony, right? Ever since the starting of Bretton Woods system, right? 1944, 45, right? Bretton Woods system was there, and US dollar was the dominant currency, key currency, reserve currency. Every country has to have that US dollar to avoid for a financial crisis, but it is deeply related to semiconductor industry. And by reading this book, you're going to learn and you'll be surprised. You'll be really, really surprised how much this semiconductor is deeply rooted into this, Bretton Woods system and then modern international economics. Why? The chips, right? Well, the semiconductor, okay, it's really densely, how do you say, manufactured with high-tech precision, and then it requires a lot of hundreds of thousands of different companies from all around the world has to be in their supply chain. So it involves a lot of supply chain management and then international trade and then the price differences. You'll have to manage your risk in your semiconductor if you are running semiconductor companies, right? I told you South Korea is precisely the breadwinning industry is semiconductor. Remember Samsung Electronics, right? Notice SKKU is heavily subsidized by Samsung Electronics, right? People have the recognition. Oh, SKKU, Samsung's university. And Samsung's breadwinning industry is DRAM, chip manufacturing, okay? That's how they made money, so much money. Now they are, biggest manufacturing semiconductor producer in the world in terms of sales amount or something like that. When it comes to market cap, not anymore. Not anymore. Why? Well, because of NVIDIA, as you know. See, what is that? The AI GPU competition. Okay, here's my acquaintance's book. He published the NVIDIA Way, and you can grab it in Kyobo bookstore. By the way, it's in all in English. By the way, and then this is the guy I met while I was in Brown University as an exchange student before, like 30 years ago. And this is precisely why I make you encourage you to make friends while you are here, okay, as an exchange student and Korean students, right? And then by reading this one, and then you're going to understand, oh, the Cold War, okay, and then the hegemony of the United States, right, ever since 1944. Well, it was in financial part, it was delivered through US dollars. And then in manufacturing part, it was about semiconductors, right? And then how to win this semiconductor wars against the Soviet Union was their issue because it enables you to manufacture precision bomb. Okay, you don't want a carpet bombing kind of attack for your enemy country because you will be killing too many civilians. So you want some what is that? The precision bomb. For that purpose, you need precise semiconductor. And the smaller chip will be even better. And that competition has been there. Soviet Union essentially lost that war, and that was why in 1990s, United States was like, yeah, we won. But there came another competitors ever since that is called China, right? And that Chinese semiconductor companies, right? A lot of interesting competition is being discussed over here. So I strongly encourage you guys to learn about this. And then what is that? Is in the semester, you will have to compare various semiconductor companies from different countries. So Netherlands, right? ASML, and then the United States, right? NVIDIA or Broadcom or something, right? And you come up with those semiconductor companies and then learn about their financials and learn about their risk management techniques for their foreign exchange exposures. Because semiconductors, you have to import a lot of materials from different countries and export your products to different countries. For that part, you are exposed to a lot of foreign exchange risk. How do they manage it, right? So study those parts by looking at these different companies. So that's the idea of this interesting class. I hope you enjoy it, and then encourage you to take both classes at the same time concurrently this semester. I hope this served for the purpose of introduction. Okay, hope to see you in class. Bye-bye.